everybody. It's Granny Jean once again, and we're in the kitchen, of course. It seems like we never get out of the kitchen. Today we're going to make piggies. If you don't know what they are, in the Polish language, I believe they're pronounced Halupki, but they're going to be pigs in the blanket, traditional. Now, I've had a lot of people out there, sauerkraut lovers, asking, what can I do with the piggies and sauerkraut? And this is what I usually do for myself occasionally. Here's a list of our ingredients. First of all, we're going to need a head of cabbage. You don't want one too big, a nice medium size head of cabbage right there. I'm going to be using at least 1.25 pounds Hamburg today, 85%. 1 onion, medium, or you can use large to your taste. We need 1 egg, and we're going to use a 1/2 cup of white rice. I use jasmine rice. It is so good. We also need butter to saute our onion, our chopped up onion. We will be using 1 1/2 tablespoons. A teaspoon of salt, less than 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, according to your taste. I have 1 large can of sauerkraut. That is optional. And we have 2 cans of tomato soup, and I'm going to mix 1.5 cans of water with that. I also am going to use 1 large can of tomato sauce. I usually use Romano's. Now the reason for that is I'm going to cover the piggies with sauce. I'm also going to freeze perhaps what's left over, and you can use the sauce to cover them and freeze them. They freeze very well. So I think we're just about ready. So what we're going to do first, we're going to take our head of cabbage. I'm going to show you. Here's your head of cabbage, and right in the center is the core. I'm going to take and cut around that core to sort of release some of the leaves, and we're going to put it in a pot of water and boil it. So I have my water on now, and I'm going to cut just around it a little. It's a little hard to get around this, but we'll manage. If your leaves are softer, they will bend easier when you go to roll them with the hammer. Also, one thing, these are the veins in your cabbage, which they are thick, and we are going to cut them slightly later on. Cabbage is ready. I had rinsed it off before we started, and we're going to put it in a pot, and the water is boiling, and be careful. Okay. Now we're going to boil it for at least 10-12 minutes till the leaves get a little soft and are able to be removed. In the meantime, we are going to take, and we can saute our onion, our chopped up onion. 1.5 tablespoons is marked on your package. Oh, and one important thing that we're going to do that I already did. You can prepare your rice, cook your rice before, and then you won't have everything at one time to clutter up your area. So my rice is cooked, my cabbage is in there, steaming, cooking, and we're going to saute our onion, our chopped up onion. Now you realize you are going to make everything to your taste. All right, we're going to leave that in there to saute. We're going to take our sauerkraut and place it in the bottom of our pan. I have a roasting pan. For you sauerkraut lovers, we're going to put down a little bit of sauerkraut, and that will keep the piggies from scorching on the bottom. Ordinarily, traditionally, you will put down your cabbage leaves if you do not use sauerkraut. So we just spread that around. Now, I do want to say one thing. Don't discard any of your leaves if they are too big or they just don't look right. Do not discard them. You will need them to layer them on the bottom of your roasting pan or whatever pan you're using. And also I layer a coating of leaves over my piggies on top. All right, we'll put this aside. The onions are sauteed. And we're going to do our mixture now. We're going to mix our Hamburg and the rest of our ingredients for our piggies. All right, we're ready now to mix our Hamburg to make our little piggies. So you break up your Hamburg. I'm going to add the salt and pepper. My onions are sauteed. I'm going to take and add them, sprinkle them around. Oh, I just love to sprinkle, you know. Let's put them all around. I just like to mix it up a little bit, that it's not all congregated in one place. Now, I took my egg, one egg, just mix it up a little, pour it in over. I don't like to put it all in one place. Just mix it up. And what is left is our rice. Now, I only used a half a cup of rice because that goes a long way. If you want to use more, you can use more. This is actually a half a cup of rice. I may not even use it all. It all depends on, some people like a lot of rice. Some people like a little rice. And if there's any rice that's left over that you don't want to use, you can use it for something else. I usually like to have it as a side dish with my salmon croquettes. So here, or shrimp, that would taste good. Well, I think that I have enough of rice in there for my liking. No, I do, well, we'll use a little bit more. Actually, there is some left over. And then you're going to be ready, as soon as the leaves come a little loose, we will roll our little piggies and put them to sleep. We made our mixture. Now, the cabbage is boiled, but I want you to be very careful taking the leaves off. In the beginning, I told you to cut out the core. That will help loosen the leaves as it's cooking. Cut out quite a bit of it because it is very important. The leaves will begin to soften and pull off. Now, I also told you there's a vein, a thick vein going down the middle of the cabbage leaf. Just take your paring knife and slice it off a little. Do not cut the cabbage through, because that your piggies won't wrap right, okay? Watch again. We have to take part of this off with our, and it's just about flat with your leaf. And they're much, much easier to roll. And we do that to each one that we're going to use. I did save some extra leaves that were too big, or a little, just too big, to place on the bottom for traditional piggies. Here's another big vein. You see, you're just gonna take and cut that down. but don't go through the leaf because that's what holds your mixture in. There's one more step we have to make, and that is to mix our tomato soup and our tomato sauce. You can mix it in a bowl, but I like to mix it in a pot because the pot is easier to handle and pour. So we've mixed it with a little bit of water, and that will go over our piggies. Now don't worry if you think you have too much. If you're going to freeze some of your piggies, you will need the sauce to cover them and put them in a freezer, and they last very well. We're ready to rock and roll and wrap up the little guys and chuck them in the oven. But one more thing I want to show you. I use this fork. When my cabbage is cooking, this helps to turn the cabbage around so that all sides will be able to get a little bit softer. So you can take a spoon of mixture, place it right in the middle of your piggy. But I don't like to use a spoon. I like to put my fingers in there and just figure out how much would look nice in there. That's a nice helping. Now, to roll them, you're going to take and start here where your stem is, and you're going to roll it this way. Now we have ends sticking out. What do we do at the ends? We're going to tuck them inside. Just take your finger. That's what I do. Tuck it inside of your piggy, and it will stay there very nicely. It should. Okay. We're ready to go to bed on our bed of sauerkraut. Okay, enough fooling around. Let's get busy here. You can tell, you can use a spoon or use your judgment. The smaller leaf, the less Hamburg, the larger leaf. We're going to do it again. Okay. I'll tell you what, the most important ingredient of this project is your cabbage. If you do not get a good head of cabbage, oh, it's disastrous. You see? You just tuck it in. They're in. No toothpicks, no nothing. It's very solid. And we're going to lay it right there. And they roll well because we softened up the core. And we took that long stem out. Okay. There we go again. There we go. Each leaf is different. Each head of cabbage is different. See that? Just tuck it in, right inside. That's all you do. Now, I've had people say, I don't know what to do at the end, so I stick toothpicks in all of my. No need for it. You can just work it in there gently with your fingers. There we go. And just lay it down. All right, our piggies are all wrapped up. We're ready to put our sauce on. And we have a nice pot here, a nice sized pot. Now, I don't like my sauce too runny because I just like it a little thicker. If you like it a little bit runnier, add more water. I only added 1.5 cups of water to it. This does look like a lot of sauce, but it's not really. I like to cover them well. And we're going to put them in an oven, 350 oven. There we go. We used all our Hamburg. We used all our sauce. And now we're going to put the finishing touches on. I saved, like I said, don't discard your leaves. I'm going to lay them on top. just so that they will be covered and they won't get singed. There we go. We have a nice little section. Now we're going to put a lid on these, put them in the 350 degrees. Well, our piggies are done. And they were in for an hour and a half. And if you would like the cabbage done a little more softer, then you can leave them in for about 10 more minutes or so and just check on them. So we're going to put them out on a plate and see how they turned out. They look appetizing. Okay. And you're going to find that you have different sizes. The leaves are small. You're going to have small piggies. The leaves are a little larger. Well, your piggies, of course, will be a tiny bit larger. I think we'll just put out 3 or so. Now, let's see if we can get some. We did have sauerkraut on the bottom, remember? So that they wouldn't scorch. So we're going to just take a little off the bottom and ladle a little sauerkraut on our dish. I'll put a little bit on top. Now, like I said, traditional type, you will have cabbage leaves on the bottom, so don't throw your cabbage leaves away. And if you would like, for my sauerkraut lovers that have asked for it, we're just going to put a little sprinkle. I'm going to sprinkle a little sauce and that over our dish. Well, they're all done, and you know me, I have to taste them. I can't end the program without tasting. But I want to tell you one thing before. Don't forget to sprinkle, and to sprinkle a little kindness along the way. Enjoy. They're very good, if I must say so. Take care.